Hello and welcome. In today's video, we are continuing our exploration of the recurring lines, but we're going to apply them to the purchase documents. So, like we said in our previous video with the sales lines, and if you haven't watched that, make sure you click on the link up here so you can check that one as well. It's very useful. But the idea behind this concept is that there might be a situation on the purchase side where you need to purchase a series of standard items or charges or resources from a vendor. And all those tend to be the same ones. They always come almost like in a bundle of sort, and they always are applied to a purchase order, a quote, or an invoice in the same way. Now, obviously, it is possible to manually add those resources, items, charges, and so on. However, if this is happening every single time, it can be tedious, but also it could generate some errors in some cases. So, in order to prevent that, it is possible to define what are called recurring purchase lines. So let's go ahead and see how they are defined and how we can use them. So let's jump into BC right here. So we're here from the home page. We are going to go in, actually, no, sorry, we're going to search for recurring purchase lines. And here they are. They pop up right here. I've already defined one here for us. Let's assume that we have a standard repair that we always perform on some of our items. And so every time we need to order one of these from one of our vendors, it's always a series of items that we need to remember to purchase. So we've defined here a package. We can look inside. I've called it a standard repair, and I've added 2 items here. In this case, it's a control panel display and a switch on and off that I know I'm going to need to use if I replace one or the other. But it could be possible, obviously, to also add some other type of lines. So it could be a resource, it could be a charge, a freight charge of any sort, a fixed asset, and so on. For example, let's say that if I order these 2, maybe I know that I also need to purchase some assistance from the vendor. So have somebody from their team come on site and help me replace those. Well, I could add a resource here with a quantity that I know. So like in this case, let's say that the standard is to order 1 control panel display and 1 switch on and off. So we have them placed right here. All right, we have defined our standard repair recurring purchase line. So the next step will be to go to one of our vendors, one or more of our vendors. We're going to select our main vendor here for this example. We are going to go in related purchase, and you will see that among the other options, we have recurring purchase lines. So what we can do here is we can click here. Now we're ready to define this line, but it's possible obviously to create new ones or change or delete and so on and so forth. When we define, we are asked to select among the ones that recurring sales purchase lines, that have already been defined. In this case, there's only one, the one we've just defined. We're going to select that one. It's going to bring up the description. But what you'll notice that is interesting is this section over here. You see that there's 4 different columns. One is for the recurring sales lines on quotes, recurring sales lines on orders, on invoices, and on credit memos. Now, what are the options that we can select? We have 3 different options. We can leave it at manual, as you've seen on the others. We can set automatic or always ask, meaning that when we create a purchase order, in this case, we are always going to be asked if we want to add these recurring lines. This can be useful to kind of remember when you're creating an order for this specific vendor, saying, hey, wait a minute, if you're ordering from this vendor, you're more than likely going to need also these things within your purchase order. Like I said earlier, it could also be freight charges, it could be some resources, and so on and so forth. If we leave it at automatic, that would mean that regardless of what we do, every time we make a purchase order for this specific vendor, we want those recurring lines to be added. That could be very useful, for example, if we know that that vendor is always going to charge us for, for example, a certain amount of freight charge. The last option, obviously, is the manual. would simply mean that we're going to manually decide. So we're going to have to do something on the purchase order to go and pick those lines and add them. Now, let's leave it at always ask to see the behavior, because I think that's one of the most interesting ones. So we've now defined this. All is left to do is to actually go in purchasing, create a new purchase order. And we are obviously going to select our main vendor here, Fabricam. Now, nothing seems to have happened, but if you notice up here, now we have recurring purchase lines exist for vendor 10,000. Do you want to insert them on this document? And we have represented with the link that we can click. Now let's go ahead and click and see what happens there. Boom, we're presented with this menu that is exactly the same one that we've seen a second ago, where we can select this and say, okay. And with a simple click, we have added all the quantities. Obviously, the cost and so on is calculated live the moment we insert the lines, just like it would be if we were inserting them manually. But the big advantage here is that now we know that those lines are some that we normally tend to order, and we didn't have to think what is the item number, which parts do we need to add, and so on and so forth. We've just defined them and added them there, and all we had to do is click. And we had the reminders so that it just popped up and helped us remembering. But like I said, we could also set it so that it automatically, every time we create a new purchase order for this specific vendor, that it would just simply add them. Now, let's see the other case. Let's say that, for example, we had left it on manual. Well, to add a recurring purchase line, we would go in prepare, and you will see here, get recurring purchase lines. So we would click here. In this case, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but let's do it just for fun. We're going to select this again, and we're going to say okay. And 2 more lines are added right there. So now we obviously have double the amount, but you get the idea. So you see, this can be extremely helpful. And again, think that it's not necessarily limited to items. You could have resources there as well, or charges as well. If you haven't seen it, go check the sales document recurring the sales line, because that is another way of using this tool on the sales side. Either way, I think this is an extremely helpful tool to know within Business Central. Let us know down below if there's anything else you would like us to cover within this topic. We're always happy to hear your comments. And regardless, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed and have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching this video from NAV SEAL. Check out more right here. NAV SEAL offer assistance and counsel on any existing solution. So if you're in need of assistance, don't hesitate to contact us on navseal.com or LinkedIn. Consider leaving a like and subscribe for more tips, news, and guides to anything Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central.